Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Move with Joe. Today we are going to take a little deeper dive into the shoulder again and begin to work on shoulder mobility for particularly for people that are struggling with range of motion or starting to get some impingement in the shoulder. So we'll give you a number of different strategies to work through to help improve the range of motion, particularly in the back of the shoulder. You have your scapula here, so the scapula should be fairly mobile and should be able to glide into retraction towards the spine, protraction away from the spine, should be able to glide up and down. And so we want to start to increase the mobility in the back of the shoulder, and we'll be working on some muscles like the triceps, the posterior deltoid, infraspinatus, teres muscles, lat dorsi. And then we'll also work on some stretches, mobility drills that will work on the front of the shoulder, so pec major, anterior deltoid. So to get started, let's do some warm-up drills just to get things loose, get things moving, and then we'll get more into some of the mobility stuff. Let's begin by doing some warm-ups. So we'll just do some shoulder circles. And you want to just move in a range that's comfortable, easy. You can go up and down. We can go up to the side. The other side. Across the body. Get the blood moving. Do a couple shoulder circles backwards. Couple forward. Going across the body. Just get things loosened up, get the blood flowing. You never want to stretch cold muscles. If you want to do 10, 15 minutes of some cardio before doing a stretch routine, that's always a good idea. Okay. All right, so let's go into the shoulder circles using the wall next. So for the shoulder circles along the wall, you want to stand pretty much so your shoulder's just about touching the wall. And so this will provide a constraint so that you have to really reach up and through the circle. We'll start with the palm facing the leg, and you'll slowly begin to come up all the way. And as you're going, you're reaching. And then somewhere about the top, you switch the palm to face the wall and start bringing the arm back. And then again at the bottom here, you switch under. So now the palm's facing you. So you can really try and maintain as much of the neutral forward posture. And you can see as I get to the end range here, I start hitting some restriction where I have to start rotating my body a little bit, but I'm trying to maintain looking forward and really giving a nice stretch to the front of the pec and front of the shoulder here. And then we can reverse it, coming back. And so doing it against the wall here won't let you cheat and bring your arm out farther into abduction. So we're really trying to maintain the neutral spine here, neutral chest, and get more of that range occurring in the shoulder joint itself. Great. And then we can just switch sides and do the same thing on the other side. So the next thing we're going to do is work again part of the posterior shoulder. So you'll need a bench or a couple of chairs, And we'll start out palms down. And the closer you have your knees to the table, the easier it's going to be, the less weight you'll have on your arms. But we're just going to do kind of an active stretch to get started. So I'll start off with my knees a little closer. We're going to bend down. You can point your toes behind you. And you're going to slowly begin to bring your head and elbows towards the table, and then you'll bring them away. And so we'll go back and forth a number of times here. And so you should be feeling a stretch through this whole posterior chain of tissue. So triceps, particularly when the elbow begins to bend, that's going to put more stretch on the triceps. You're going to feel probably infraspinatus, some of your lat tissue. So there's quite a bit of stretch in the shoulder extensors and external rotators. And as you get warmed up, you can start moving farther back. And so you're stretching out, lengthening through the arms, and you're slowly bending the elbows, bringing the head towards the table. All right, we'll give that a break. So you can just go till you feel like you've gotten a good stretch. So with these stretches, there isn't necessarily an exact number that you need to do, number of reps or time. I go more by feel. So in general, when you're first starting out, you might be quite tight in the back, so you might want to do fewer. And so once you start to feel some fatigue or starting to feel a little excessive tension, it's a good time to take a break. Let the arms shake out. You can shake the shoulders out, let the arms go loose. And then when we start again, you can try a slightly different positioning of your hands, so you can go a little bit more narrow. And again, we'll just do another set here. So we're bringing the elbows and head closer to the table, and then we're bringing away, straightening the arm. So that was getting most of the posterior shoulder. Now we'll focus in on more of the anterior shoulder, so pec, anterior deltoid. So we're going to take a wider position of the hands. And again, this time the closer your knees are, the easier it will begin. So I always recommend starting with the knees closer if you need to. And then slowly you're going to begin to lower yourself down. I like to press my hands into the table to create some resistance. And so I'm imagining slowly lowering the weight of my chest and head in between my arms. And I'm slowly sinking down by pressing through my hands as I do it. And when you get down to the end here, you can hold for 5 seconds. 4, 5, and then you can come back up. And for me, I feel like I can start scooting a little bit farther out, so we can do that same pathway again, down, pressing down through the hands. So this is opening up all this tissue. I can feel it in my biceps, pec, anterior deltoid. I like to exhale as I go down. Hold for 5 seconds at the bottom. Come back up. So you can play around with different variations of the hands. The closer in the hands are, the more you tend to get the posterior part of the shoulder. So we can go back to the posterior part, again pressing down through the hands, slowly lowering. And then as we go out farther, we start getting more of the front of the shoulder. Okay. So another one that I wanted to show you was a little half moon variation of what we were just doing. For this one, I placed my hands about shoulder width apart. And you can start by sinking down to the middle. And then from here, you can start arcing back and forth, a little to the left, a little to the right. And so you can start coming up a little bit higher each time. And so we start creating this little half moon movement. So now we make the stretch a little more dynamic through more range. So it's not just a linear stretch. And again, pressing down through the hands, activating through the whole line of the arms and the shoulders. All right, great. So give that a rest. For another one, if you wanted to target specifically your triceps, here's a great little tricep stretch. So if you have a light weight, anywhere from like 5 to 10 pounds, you can hold the end of the weights in your hands and start with your elbows at the edge of the bench. And again, the closer your knees are, the easier it will be. So if you want to start off nice and close, I'd recommend it. And you can gauge for yourself how far back you want to go. I'm going to start about here, and you're going to bend the elbows so the weight comes behind the head. And we're going to slowly lower the head down between the elbows, and then we'll come back up. So again, we'll make this more of an active stretch. So we're slowly lowering ourselves down between our elbows and coming back up. Okay. Let's show you one more stretch of the front of the pec that I like to do. Again, if you have a bench, that's perfect. If you don't, you can also use the edge of a couch or your bed, but preferably something a little bit harder where you can get right off the edge of the table with your shoulder. So I will demo that with a light weight here. All right, so you can line up your body, knees bent. You'll have your shoulder right at the very edge of the table. And to start, you don't need any weight. You can just bring your arm straight up in the air, and you're going to slowly begin to lower it down to the side. And so you should be feeling a stretch through the pec and or biceps. That's oftentimes where people feel this stretch the most. And at the end range, you can bend your elbow and straighten it back up, and that will just take a little strain off the shoulder joint when you're lifting it up. So you can play around with all sorts of different vectors, from going straight down along the table here, and that's going to get primarily more anterior deltoid and biceps. And the farther up you go, the more you get into the different strands of the pec. So play around with this full range. And as you're lowering, you want to think about lengthening out the arm. So you're not just having the arm close, but you're reaching out through the arm as you're lengthening. Get down to your end range. You can hold it for a few seconds. Bend the elbow, lift it back up. And if that all feels great and you want a little bit more resistance, you can add a light weight, can of soup, something that you have around your house, a candle, and slowly lower that down to your end range. And again, bend the elbow, bring it back up. I'll do one more up overhead. Reaching out. All right, great. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's shoulder mobility routine. Lots of stuff in there. You can do anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. This type of stuff, it's not super intense, so if you're first getting started, maybe start to introduce it a couple times a week, 2 to 3 times. If you're more advanced and you've been doing shoulder mobility stuff for a while, this is something that you could add into your daily routine to keep things mobile. And then if you do a kind of a higher intensity mobility session, giving yourself a day of rest or two, always listen to your body. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, tell me what you liked about it, what you want to see next. And of course, hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.